We are about to embark on an immersive journey through the corridors of our minds. Stand by as we prepare for departure.
Welcome aboard, everyone, to the Productivity with Peace of Mind podcast adventure. Our journey will begin in just a moment. Inhale deeply and exhale. Our voyage takes us on a captivating tour, diving deep into the intricate layers of our thoughts and imagination. Brace yourselves for the complexities of our evolution. For a safe and enjoyable journey, stay seated, secure your helmet and protective goggles, and keep hands, feet, and legs inside while the ride is moving. Now relax and enjoy.
What if I told you the same tools used to streamline business projects can also revolutionize our personal goal setting and productivity? I want to talk to you about harnessing this software I've used for years called Asana for our own personal success. I was on a walk the other day with a friend and we were talking about getting things done and how to keep ourselves more organized. And she was sharing with me that she really doesn't have a way to keep track of everything that she needs to do. And while she had a great memory and she remembers it all kind of just spins around in her brain and exhausts her. And a lot of times she may not get to things right away, or it's not necessarily intentional or organized because it is just kind of all sitting up in her brain versus having that download, getting it onto something that she can then follow. And we talked about using Asana. And so I want to share with you today exactly how I do that and how it can help you create whatever it is you want to create. I started using Asana when working with other entrepreneurs many years ago, and the running joke became if it's not in Asana, it doesn't happen. We all came to know if something was in my Asana system, it was as good as done. And one of the best ways I learned to use this, though, was for my own personal to dos and big projects because it saved me so much time, not just to have the business and work things in there organized and ready to go, but my personal items were streamlined and automated so that I wasn't having to think about what I needed to do, what I needed to get done. It was all right there for me, pre planned, scheduled out, and ready to go. Once something was set up, I never had to think about it again. I just had to follow my own system, and it has worked seamlessly. We can plan out our big projects in sections in Asana and break down the tasks into each month, week, day, etc., in order to stay on track and make it super easy for us to follow. We'll talk about understanding Asana's potential for your own personal goals, actually going in and setting up your own workspace and projects within the software, how to align that with your goal setting and planning, and utilizing that also for habit formation. So, we've talked about habits in other episodes, and so how to actually put that into place in Asana and why that helps, and integrating Asana with our own personal systems and other things that we may be doing. The features and capabilities of Asana really do make it very easy to apply to our personal goals and projects that we're working on for ourselves, or even just the, mundane day-to-day everyday things that we're doing. And yes, you can pay for Asana. There are some paid premier features, but honestly, I have never used them. I've always used the free feature. And so none of this is affiliated or anything. I'm just a huge fan of Asana, and utilizing their free features has been a great way to keep on track and get everything we want to do done. So within the software, there's the ability to create different projects, and there are different approaches that we can take with how we view them. But I prefer board view. So it's called board. And this gives us kind of these columns when you look inside of each project that are kind of like phases or sections based on how you want to list that out and title that. You can completely make it your own thing. But for me, that's a great way. There's also list view, timeline view, and different things like that that you can choose. So you can kind of play with the different options. But for me, and for the sake of keeping things simple, I'm going to refer to board view as I talk you through this and how I do it, because that's the way that I've done it. And I've really benefited from it. In board view, you can break down your project into these phases that I mentioned. And each phase and each column contains their own tactics and to dos filtered by dates, where we can then go see exactly what to do each day from each project on our calendar view. So that's a section in the app and in the software called My Tasks. And that's where I check each day to see what I've already set up for myself that I want to do that specific day. And we can also use this for tracking our habits, like we've discussed in some of my habits episodes, where this is actually a way to make it tangible and trackable. And you can put that into the software as a recurring thing where you're checking that off every day. And you can also look back and see your progress or see the days that you may have missed and understand how well that's going for you or how well it's not going. You can even create a personal board for one off tasks, and we can section this off in the columns, starting with a master idea list column. This is where you put all of your ideas where you don't lose anything and you always have it for later to come back to of, oh yeah, these are the things that I considered for later, but I wasn't yet ready to commit to, and you don't forget what those were. And sometimes you come back and you don't want to do them anymore and you can delete them. But sometimes you go through that list and you realize, oh yeah, this is the thing I still want to do. And now I have the capacity for it, or I know where I want to schedule that in my future tasks, projects, or calendar. And then you can have a column for in progress or recurring things, like let's say scheduling your dentist appointment or a recurring grocery list. And this saves so much time in our day to day lives so that you can use your brain space on what matters most to you, building, creating, being creative, and doing the things that you love. All right, so now we're actually going to take a look at the software itself. So if you go to the Asana website and you just create your free account and you set up, it will have some prompts to walk you through creating your first project. Again, I recommend starting with the board, but you can actually go back and change this anytime. So you are not committed to the view or the style of what you're going to look at and how you're going to view your project. So just know you can always go back and change that and edit that. But we'll go in and say you're creating your new project and I do blank project. So then I just title it whatever that title is. So let's just say we're on the podcast now. So I'm going to use the creating a podcast as an example. So I would title this podcast project or creating my podcast, or maybe you're going to put in the title of your podcast if you already know what that's called. And then I just select the board option and select create project. So then this opens your new board and your title of it, whatever you called it, is up top. And again, you can come back and change this if you want to. And then you have these pre-written in columns. It starts with to do, in progress, and complete. Great starting point, but I always tweak these a little bit. So in my actual podcast board, my sections are podcast ideas, prepared to record, recorded with the intro, aired and posted, etc. So you can see how you can really build your project out into phases if this is something that is an ongoing project and you're taking something through this progress and you want to know where each piece of that project is at. I also have a project in there for my health. So I have things like nourishment, workouts, and then things I've completed. So every day I go in and I look at what my workout is for that day, things I want to do for my nutrition and my health, so that those are reminders for me as I build new habits and change up my workout routine or do different things. I know exactly what I've already preset for myself and thought through that I'm going to do each day. So then when you look at the left-hand column on either the website or the app, you can do either. There's a desktop app and a phone app. But right now, when I'm looking at the software talking to you, I'm looking at the desktop website. So you click on My Tasks, and this will bring you to your calendar. And you can see each day as you build out each project and fill each column within each of those boards with the things that you want to do, they're going to appear on your calendar. And a quick note on recurring tasks, they will only appear on the current day. And then as you complete them, they then show up on the next day. So, like if you miss a day or whichever, you can always drag that to the next day and put that there. But the idea is not to miss a day. The idea really is to make the commitment to ourselves, make it reasonable so it's doable and real, but then we honor that and show up for ourselves and do the thing we wanted to do so that we do meet that bigger picture vision and work toward that we had set for ourselves. And as you build out your different projects, you'll see on the left-hand side a list of all of these. So for mine, I have different things like my book project, my podcast, social media, my health, personal items, my email newsletter, and guesting on other podcasts. So this could look like many things for you. You could have things for your career or your professional work or your business or different areas of what you're working on. Or this could be strictly personal, where you might have some personal projects that you're working on and something that you're creating. Maybe you have a painting project that you're working on or something else exciting that you're creating, and you can build this out there as well as have your personal boards to have some of those recurring things where you can take that out of your brain, get it down, and not have to think about it again, except for each day when you're checking your tasks on what you needed to do to get there. And when you look at each task item, so when you look in your board and you have your different columns, within that are your actual tasks. So on the top, you have a title. So it might be the thing that you want to do or a title of something you're creating. And then you assign that to yourself and you have a due date. And that's how you make sure it does actually show up on that master calendar under my tasks on that left-hand column. Then you'll see under projects, this is where it's assigned to which project you have it in, and then which column. So what phase is it in? Where is that task at? And then in the description box underneath that, this is where I get so much out of this. So we can literally drop links, notes, documents, audios, anything you need so that when it's time to go do that task or complete that thing, you're not spending time running around, gathering everything you need. It's already there. You're prepared. You're ready to go and just show up and knock the thing out. There are also some options to prioritize your tasks or add different tags. Like maybe you want to put something as in progress, like you're currently working on it so that you know you've started it, or maybe you want to mark it high priority so you know that those are the things that you want to do first before anything else happens that day. And we've talked in other episodes about SMART goals, and I know you've probably heard this a million times, but Asana helps us make those SMART goals very real because it's as specific as you can get in that description and the title. You know exactly what you're doing. You're putting in the measurable piece. You know exactly when it's due, and everything that you need to get that done and be successful in that is all detailed out by your past self in there for you now when you're showing up each day to get it done. And it's really important to make sure that we are actually breaking things down and breaking those larger goals down into our smaller actionable tasks and milestones for effective planning. Because if we don't do that, it's going to be a lot harder to accomplish the things we want to accomplish in that time frame. So if you have something big or daunting, we're not always going to know exactly what to do to get that done. So breaking that down as small as you possibly can to know exactly what to do. I mean, even when I look at my book project, I have chapters, but then within each chapter is sections. So I have tasks for each section, even to go through that section and get exactly what I need to get done, because it makes it so much easier. Because writing an entire chapter, the way my book is formulated out now, is pretty daunting. And so to be able to break that down into each section makes it so much easier and manageable. And then I know exactly what I can do. I can knock those out and measure my progress a lot easier. And so when we look at creating our timelines and our deadlines, as far as when we want to get things done, it really is important to make sure that it's doable. Because I'll say when I first started, I would cram and fit so much into a day, thinking that that would fit when in reality it doesn't. And so when we look at how much time we have in a day and the other things that come up in our other commitments and other projects and other parts of our life that may get in the way or take up other parts of our time, can we still fit what we're planning for the day in that time frame? So making it really realistic and doable, and then committing to what we said we would do and reevaluating if we need to afterwards. Because if it doesn't work, we can come back and make a new plan next time, or realize Even in a specific phase of life, you may realize that there's less you can do. Maybe you're dealing with a health issue or something else has come up in your life that's dealing with family or something that's a little bit more out of your control. You can then spread that out a little bit further in the coming weeks so that you know, okay, I can still commit to this and I can still do this and it's reachable. And we've also talked about forming our habits in some other episodes on the podcast. And so this is a great way to, again, make that very real and applicable and put that in as the recurring task, whether it's your health or whatever your goal is. Your goal can be the project name, and then the tasks inside can be some of those habits that you're forming and creating. And then as those become foundational, we start stacking on others. But it's a great way to track where you're at. How many days are you doing it a week? If your goal is 5 days a week, you're able to go back and look at your calendar view and see, okay, 5 days a week for the last month, I've crossed that off and done that. And I know that I've committed that. And you have that kind of accountability with yourself. And this is just done by creating those recurring tasks and routines. And once you set that up, you don't ever have to do that again unless you're making changes or tweaks. You can always go back and add, delete, edit, change the notes, put something else in there. Maybe you add another step, but it's there for you to look at every single day. And you don't have to think about adding it to your list or, oh, I don't want to forget this. It's just right there for you already. It's your own built in daily reminder to make sure that you're not losing track of what it is you wanted to do. And of course, as always, we want to celebrate our progress along the way and those small wins to encourage ourselves and keep ourselves engaged in order to keep going and keep moving and making that momentum. And Asana has this fun feature that sends a unicorn across the screen when you accomplish something. And in your settings, you can adjust this to when and how often this happens. I personally have mine on the max because I need that reminder. And it really is. It's that great reminder for us to celebrate our progress along the way because it can be easy to focus on what we haven't done yet and forget to look back at how much we've already done and accomplished. And you can even build in tasks and time for a celebration when you hit milestones or goals. So let's say you want to celebrate a big milestone or big goal with a nice dinner somewhere. You can build that in at the end of a project or the end of something so that you remember to stop and celebrate yourself. So checking and managing our Asana and our projects and tasks each day, this can become part of our morning routine and or our evening routine, preparing for that next day or reviewing the day we just completed. It's a really great time to check in with ourselves, slow down, reflect, evaluate, reevaluate, right? Just understand what's going well, what's not going well. It's that time for you to connect with you. And for those of us who are already using paper planners or digital calendars, I personally use all three, and it might feel like overkill or seem like a lot in the beginning. So definitely don't overcommit to a system that doesn't work for you. Start small, start simple. When I started with these, I was just using Asana by itself. It definitely wasn't where I started using all the systems all at once because, again, when we overcommit and try to do it all at once, the pieces fall and we don't have that foundation to build upon. But this can be a great partner to our paper planners because we can plan out on paper our intentions and things we want to do, and then actually build out that full project plan within Asana. And then the further step we can take with that digital calendar is time blocking on our actual calendar time wise to know what do I have the time for and what's actually reasonable to kind of self check ourselves and make sure that we're doing something that's realistic and our plan is actually doable. I do it this way just because it allows me the time to stop, slow down, and think through what am I actually doing? Am I really being intentional? Do I know what I'm doing and why? So, we talked about how Asana helps us with our personal goals, how to actually set up our own workspace and projects in the software, how that works with our goal setting and planning, creating our new habits, and integrating that with any other systems that we may be already using. But no matter what you decide to do, there are so many options, and you can absolutely make it your own and create your own system for what works for you, for your own personal goals and achievement of what you want to create. So, number one, just take a look at the software, check out the free version of it, and start playing with some of the features and projects and tasks and see what that looks like. Take a look at the calendar view under my tasks and see what that would look like for you. And if that's something that could help you keep on track with yourself and empty out your brain, download what you are thinking about and that's spinning around in your brain. So you're not having that just thought spiral that's wasting your time and energy when that could be spent in such a better place to start organizing your projects and what you want to do every day. It helps us streamline our own personal goal setting, helps us be more productive in everything that we're doing. And I know if you take the time to do this with any software that interests you, there are others out there. Asana is just the one I'm familiar with and the one that I like to use. But whatever you want to use, if you take advantage of building your own system and making the systems work for us versus us working so hard to think through what it is we want to do every day and wasting that time with that back and forth and that indecision and overwhelm of all the different things spinning around in our brain, we can slow down and create and achieve anything we desire. Thank you for braving the inside of your mind with me. The better we understand ourselves, the more deeply we understand the world. And as our awareness grows, life just gets better and better. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a review and share this with anyone else you think could benefit from listening. A quick reminder that the content shared in this podcast is for informational purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, and the discussions here are not a substitute for professional advice. If you're dealing with a specific issue or need personalized guidance, please consult with a qualified professional. Your well being is important, and this podcast is simply a platform for sharing insights and experiences. I appreciate you spending this time with me. Until next time.